Hello everyone, I am Toast with you, and I am glad to see you on the CGI Digital Art channel. And in the third lesson of the course on the Adobe Photoshop program, we will walk you through ways to select various objects. We will go through all the existing selection tools so that you understand how to act in a given situation. It will be very interesting. Sit back, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Open Photoshop and let's go. We'll start with the most commonplace, but at the same time the most popular tool, the rectangular selection tool. The hotkey for it is M. How does he work? You need to hold down the left mouse button and you will begin to stretch the area within which the elements will be selected. When you release the left mouse button, the selection will be created. You will see a flashing dotted line. This means that the contents of the area are now highlighted. What can you do with selected elements? First, they can be cut out. How it's done? First, we need to remove the lock here so that we can cut out this object. After which I can select the Move tool, the V key, and just move the object. Ctrl+Z cancels the action. You can copy, Ctrl+Z cut, Ctrl+X move, paint over, B key, all the same hotkey combinations as in regular Office programs. What's new and interesting? For example, if we have selected and see that we have captured more than necessary, and I would like to trim the selection a little. To do this, hold down the Alt key on the keyboard. We will have a minus. We stretch the selection area with the left mouse button, thereby we trim the selection along the specified contour, and the program removes the excess. If you need, on the contrary, to add something to your selection, then you hold down Shift, a plus appears and proceed according to the same scheme. If you click once on an empty space, the selection will be removed. You can also remove the selection using the keyboard shortcut, Ctrl+D. I prefer this way. If you need to select not a rectangle, but a perfect square, hold down Shift. You may also need to reverse the process. You have selected an object and want to cut out or paint over everything except it. To invert the selected area, you need to press Ctrl+Shift+I. You can also smooth out the selection. Select, modify, smooth. Everything related to selection is in the Select tab. You can also save the selected area by clicking Save Select. Let's consider the next tool. This is an ellipse selection. According to the same scheme, stretch it, we get an elliptical area. Using Shift, we get a selected area in the shape of a perfect circle. Using Alt, you can cut out some fragments like this. I don't know, maybe it will be useful to someone. All modifiers, Alt, Shift, Ctrl, remain unchanged. Also, before using any selection, you can increase the shading parameter and you will immediately be able to paint with little shading. However, if you increase this value after the fact, nothing will happen. Be careful. The next tools in the list are the lasso group, called by the L key. I have two of them, regular and polygonal. The first is used when you need a casual selection, such as highlighting clouds or other abstract objects. To blur it, change the blending mode, and so on. If you don't need precision, polygonal lasso, when you need to select something geometric using anchor points. The operating principle is as follows. We click with the left mouse button, we place the first anchor point. Then, we choose where we want to place the next point, and so on. It is imperative to close the circuit. Similar to working with a pen. Done, the selection is created. The next tool is a magic wand. The fact is that the magic wand allows you to very quickly select pixels that are similar in color and shade. But at the same time, you must understand that automatic does not always work well. The magic wand works best when there is a clear contrast between two objects. For example, one object is black, another object is white and the resolution is very good. Otherwise, you will have problems. How to work with a magic wand. This is the W key, and here at the top there is an important setting, sample size. I advise you to choose a 5x5 radius. This is the area from which the program will scan the color and select the average shade from 25 pixels. I duplicate the layer using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+J. I got a copy of it so I could see what I had and what happened. I click with the left mouse button. I select it with a magic wand, and I see that I have stood out, but somehow not enough. This is because we have a low tolerance parameter. I'm increasing it to 30. Now a larger area of water is captured in the selection, but without capturing the sky and sea foam. The maximum tolerance value is 255. Because we have a total of 256 shades in gradation, from 0 to 255, this is maximum. That is, if I click now, everything will be selected. Be careful with this. In most cases, I recommend keeping tolerance within 100, but if the case is like mine, and you have many shades of blue, then you won't be able to do more than 50. Next problem. Part of the sea stood out, but part did not. I hold down Shift, a plus appears and I add the missing areas to the selection. If you have captured too much, then use Alt to remove it from the selection. In addition to the magic wand, there is also the quick selection tool. We draw, and where we drew, a selected area is created. In my humble opinion, it works better than a magic wand, because you give more information to the tool about where it needs to make a selection and where it doesn't. All this is also done through Shift, Alt, added, removed. The brush was increased or decreased. By the way, you can do this using hotkeys. A closed square bracket is a plus. An open square bracket is a minus sign. It's simple. Now let's look at another very useful tool. It's called Select Object. It is often used when we need to highlight a person's figure, because the operating algorithm of this tool is best tailored specifically to a person. With it you can specify the zone within which the object should be highlighted to help the program find it. For rough, quick selections, the tool works well. Very often it helps. Now we will analyze complex cases when there is, for example, hair. It's always difficult to highlight hair. In our case, the girl has an afro hairstyle. We select it using the Select Object tool. You can use any selection tool of your choice. The selection has loaded. It didn't turn out bad. Then we go to Select and Mask. This is a separate function that allows you to customize a ready-made selection. Very cool tool. The tools we work with are listed on the left, their settings are listed on the right. And preview settings. Here we can choose which substrate we want to see our mask on. Then select the opacity of this background. Let's put it on black to see all the inaccuracies. Next we select a tool called Refine Edges. We adjust its size, and then we can, by holding the left mouse button, drag along the hair, and the program will refine the contour of the hair. This algorithm does not always work perfectly, but there are situations when it really helps. There's also a radius function that allows us to process the edges of our selection a little differently. When you increase the radius, you will be cut off the most. When you decrease it, it's the opposite. Smart Radius simply changes the algorithm of this tool. There is also smoothing here. When you turn it up all the way, your contour becomes softer. Don't get carried away. Next, you can adjust the level of shading. Contrast increases the range that the program determines. When you have low contrast, then somewhere there is smoothing, smooth transitions. As soon as you made maximum contrast, your boundaries became clearer. Next, shift selection lines. When you move to the right, the selection lines come out. When moved to the left, the lines go inward. You configure these parameters, achieve the desired result and click on OK. And you get the selection you need. What else can I tell you that's interesting to close the topic of highlighting? For example, if we have selected an object, and we want to somehow modify this selection using a brush. We selected the brush, this is the B key. Pressed Q, thus, we entered a quick selection. This is a separate space that highlights your layer in red. And this means that if you draw in black, you will remove something. That is, you are hiding something. If you paint with white, you will add. How does this work in practice? So I went to Q, quick selection. I want to hide this extra hair. I just took black, changed places. This is the X key, and I paint in black. Ready. We will analyze all this in more detail a little later. And the last tool for today that you should master is the pen. It is suitable in those situations when nothing else can save you. To do this, press the P key. The pen tool is selected. There are many of them here, we take the standard one. Change its mode from shapes to outline. This is a very important tool that you will use constantly. The principle is that you must trace the shape, and unlike the polygonal lasso tool, you can create selections more accurately due to the presence of manipulators in its functionality. After you have traced the shape with a feather, you return to the starting point and you have a completed outline. You can change it using the Ctrl key, you can change the angles of inclination, or you can transfer it to a ready-made selection, Ctrl plus Enter. The selection has been created. I really hope that you liked the video and found it useful. If so, then don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell so you won't miss new videos on the channel and will really support us. That's all for me. Toast was with you on the CGI Digital Art channel. Bye everyone.